Good morning, wise women. We're so happy to have you here today. I'm going to take just one short minute before we get to Mr. Harris. You're going to love this. I want to encourage you to tell whoever you know, and number one, thank you. We've got lots of new members lately who have gone back onto the wisewomen.org page tomorrow. Please encourage whoever you know to go ahead and do that, and they'll see this entire presentation. And to remind them that our $45 membership form is right there on the website as well. And let's keep our fingers crossed. Thanks for all of our new people. And now here we go.
Well, welcome everyone. We're so happy we have our next meeting, to our virtual meeting, and we're so happy Bill Harris is going to be our speaker today. University Community Theater in downtown Fairfield, and I'm guessing most of you are familiar with him. But he also holds other positions at Sacred Heart as an adjunct professor, a producer in residence, a member of the university's board, and so on. And he's uniquely suited to this position. Interestingly enough, if he had tried to get a resume that was appropriate, he couldn't have come up with a better one, because he had over 30 years experience in broadcast, cable, independent film, and so many other things that really make him uniquely suited for this wonderful program that we're going to have today, and actually for the whole effort going to the theater here. So I'll turn it over to Bill, and as with our other meetings, we have the website, the email address at the bottom of your screen. If you have any questions, feel free to email me during this. Welcome, Bill.
Well, thank you, Margaret, and thank all the women, the wise women out there. I really appreciate your time and interest and having me come in to speak to you. You know, Margaret was very, very kind in her introduction. I'll tell you just a little bit more about myself, and then we'll get started with what you really want to know about, which is, of course, the theater and what's going on there. She's correct. You know, not so much as I fashioned a resume, because who knows how you get to any place in life, but you know, I kind of stumbled along in my career, but I do come by this quite honestly. I was, you know, a kid who had a darkroom in his basement and grew up shooting little 8mm films in the playgrounds and backyards of my youth, and having little screenings in the summer on my porch. So, you know, as much as I've had a very long career in broadcast, my minor claim to fame also, I worked at A&E for many years. I created the biography series there, and then went off to help launch the History Channel. And then retired from that and did what every foolish ex-television executive does. I, you know, started my own independent production company making kind of hopeless passion project films. So I've had genuine interest throughout my life. And in one of those strange, you know, I'm not a big believer in fate, but I am a fan of serendipity. So as much as you know, often many of us will climb the ladder up and then hit all the rungs coming back down, landing here, both at the university teaching, and then I guess a little over a year and a half ago or more, when the decision was to acquire the lease for the theater, I kind of, you know, finagled my way into consideration, and lo and behold, was really assigned as a director of the theater. So very, very exciting. So this is a little bit of, you know, I'm happy, and I'm going to give you a bit of a presentation. So I do have a full deck from PowerPoint, which also includes some video clips, which I'll play along the way. And of course, should you have any questions with the presentation, you should just forward them to Margaret, and she will either interrupt me, which is fine, so I can kind of do that in process, or hold some of them for the Q&A at the end of the session. So with that, if it's okay, I'm going to take over the screen and share my presentation, which I hope someone will tell me is working. And I'm going to set up the slideshow. And so here we are. Certainly those of you who've been in town or who've been able to drive by or visit us online, which we'll talk about a little bit more later on. This is an aerial image of the theater, taken quite recently. And as you can see, there's two things I say kind of ad nauseum about the theaters. This really is, particularly with the restoration of the original Deco design of the marquee, really does restore the crown jewel to the town square. So we're very excited about that. The theater itself has been closed, as many of you know, in quite a heartbreaking way for almost the last decade. It was a premier theater for, we're celebrating 100 years. It was actually built in 1920 in the shadow of the last great pandemic. But here we are again. So moving forward, this has been completely reimagined as a space, which I'll show you as well. And we'll talk about some of the other programming. As a movie theater, like many, it was, it was really the center of that kind of cinema entertainment for town. Then you get into the 80s and 90s when you have the advent of everything from the VCR and the Blockbuster, a video store down the street, all the way up to, some of the streaming services. So the theater kind of fell on hard times. It was a discount movie house for a few years. And then even then, when you obviously could go to multiplexes and all the things that you could do in home, even that was kind of a struggle. So it really was, unfortunately, kind of a dark hole in the middle of town for many years. And thankfully, the Cleveland organization, who are real estate developers in town, took over the building, and Sacred Heart University leased the theater to operate as an independent cinema, performance, and education venue. We are open. I'll tell you a little bit more virtually right now. We're finishing construction, and we'll be open very, very shortly for in-theater events. As I'm going through, and I'm going to start this video in a second, you'll see the top of it, and then I'll kind of walk through some of the other things that are going on here in the sidebar.
When you look back, you see how it's exactly the same as it was when it was first built. It was built to be a place that the community came together. I mean, it's right there in the name, and it's been...
Sorry. I'm so sorry. Hang on.
When you look back, you see how it's exactly the same as it was when it was first built. It was built to be a place that the community came together. I mean, it's right there in the name, and it's been the same name, stayed the same way for all these years. Everyone knows, even if you don't know the finicky parts of it, that it's a part of the history here. I mean, it's been here since before all the buildings surrounding it today were here. It was one of the first ones in the center of town. So people know that it's supposed to be there. And it was kind of a sigh of relief because we knew it wasn't going anywhere.
My name's DJ Haddad. I live in Fairfield and I work in Fairfield. I have a creative agency located just 2 buildings away from here. So yeah, I think it was 2002 or 2003, I proposed to my wife in the theater. And, and then after that, I'd remember bringing my kids there when they were little. So it's always been a part of my life. And now when I go to work, I walk by it every day, so.
It's not a point of whether we were born here or we moved here. For the period of time that we live here, this is our town, and it's important that we care about it. And the community theater is at the center of that town, of the entertainment, the fun, the enjoyment that people have had here for so many years. And the thought that that could come back and once again become part of why Fairfield is a wonderful place to be, that's just a great thing.
Obviously, the community theater has been a staple of our downtown or of our entire community, and it has been a significant impact having it closed for the town of Fairfield. And we are looking so forward to it, the rebirth, as you will, of the community theater. It's not just a physical community, it's a community in everyone's heart. And so that's what's really special. And I think that the community theater, right, represents that. I'm very excited to have the community theater reopened.
So sorry. Oh, well, let me continue here. I apologize for the finicky nature of this. I will continue. Thanks for joining us here live. And I'll just mute this, this handsome devil for a minute. This was part of our streaming marquee lighting event, which we did over the holidays, just before the Christmas holiday. And it was really, as you can see, I'm kind of out there by myself because COVID restrictions, we didn't really have the party that we were hoping to. But we did this as a streaming event to at least light up the town square and in fact, kind of present the marquee kind of as our gift to the town. So, and you'll see that light up in just a second. So, I'm telling the truth. So construction is all but complete. We're doing a few finishing projects inside and then starting to install some of the technology. The marquee, as you see behind me there, has been restored completely and now kind of lights up. Thankfully for all of us, and we can only hope that it holds. COVID restrictions are starting to lift, so we are indeed preparing quite formally for opening the doors to the public. We have a little bit of back office business. We have started to, in terms of nominations of folks who are interested in being on our board or panel of advisories. We started to engage them along with the community and programming partners, which includes many of the usual suspects in town, from the library and Pequot and the History Center, and even it's not competitive. This is we're adding to the town square and the arts community, including FTC and everyone else. And there's our marquee lit up, which we were very excited, and I was happy that when they flipped the switch, it all went on. So that got us very far here. Not only programming partners who will hold, because this is a community theater. So again, we're very much a part of the community and very interested in having the community use this as a vibrant venue. So we are partnering with other education entities and nonprofits, and we'll be having events in the theater as we go. That also always includes some Sacred Heart University programs, a number of which, and I'll give you a little better idea about that going forward. But Sacred Heart, we're home, and indeed I work for as an adjunct professor. We're home to Connecticut's only full graduate program in film and television media, as well as our undergrad program. We have a very vibrant performing arts department, as well as some of the other departments, international studies and things that will host or provide programming in the theater, right up and including master classes, cinema master classes as well with guests. Along with that, of course, which is really very beneficial for me and for programming, is we are partners more than kissing cousins with WSHU Public Radio. So inside of their wheelhouse and their brand of news, information, classical music and beyond, we will have a number of their programs hosted in the theater as well. And that includes some of the other suspects, New Haven Symphony Orchestra, and some other things that WSHU is currently supporting. We will have a number of educational initiatives, which we'll talk about, not just with some of the other program providers, but the theater itself. we will do an after-school program for very good reason, which I'll explain in a moment, least of which is that we have 4 public schools within walking distance of the theater. And even now, today, we have launched last year our virtual theater. So as all of us have learned over the past year, this is what we've been doing. We have real events going on. We have real independent films, things that you, honestly, they're exclusive to an independent in terms of platforms. So these aren't things that you'll find on Netflix or Hulu or even Disney Plus as we go. And I just want to make sure my little speaker box isn't blocking everything. So, as you can tell, this is a historic, iconic venue celebrating 100 years in downtown Fairfield. It's really quite incredible. I will tell you, it was a little bit off the record, so if I hear this from anybody, I'll know it came from you. You know, it was, the place was really quite decrepit. When I entered it over a year and a half ago, I was literally scratching in the dirt of the foundation. So everything has been taken out. We have very few original artifacts remaining, but everything is brand new from the foundation to the roof. So while we are celebrating and honoring, really, you know, as I mentioned, it's, you know, we're stewards of a 100-year-old legacy. We're really leaning into the future with a brand new state-of-the-art facility. In addition to the marquee and the main entrance for the theater that you see, we also have, because the theater stretches back, of course, into the building and off to the side, we have around the corner a Main Street front office, which is just past the Old Post Tavern, which has 4 storefront windows. That will be our general front office, administrative offices. It will be our VIP space, green room, and dressing rooms, and stage entrance from that side as well. The location, honestly, could not be better. We are in the middle of downtown. We're adjacent to not just the library and the town green. As I mentioned, we're within proximity of all the local schools. We're half a block from the Metro North Station. We're certainly part, and I think, kind of restoring the anchor to the arts community in town. We're surrounded by restaurants on all sides, including a brand new restaurant, which is opening up on you can't quite see it in this picture, but on the other side. So it'll be flanked by the Old Post Tavern on one side and a new European bistro that's going to be going up on the other side. That's run by the folks who run Sinclair and Molto. So it's going to be high end. We also will provide rental of the theater for parties, private screenings, and things like that. Particularly early on, while we're dealing with some capacity restrictions. And, you know, we'll sell little stuff. We'll have some tchotchkes and, of course, concessions and things like that that will be available in the theater. Sorry. So as I mentioned, here is a picture of the theater as it is today, complete and clean. So we are all new, state-of-the-art digital projection sound system. We have a reimagined balcony, which I'll show you a few pictures and tell you more about that in a few moments. We're clearly supported by alums and some corporations. We believe, given that this is, you know, it's funny in the business in terms of theatrical, and Margaret and I were talking a little bit about this just before the session. You know, I entered this thinking I was going to be competing against 36 other screens in town. And in a heartbreaking sense, the 2 multiplexes have now closed permanently and will not open at all. You know, they're the victims in certainly some cases to the pandemic, but in truth, many of the multiplexes were struggling even before the current healthcare crisis. It doesn't take much to recognize as kind of everything develops in terms of technology. And once you move past, I mean, the old days it was video stores, Blockbuster, and things like down the street, and then it became kind of streaming services. And it doesn't take much when you can just stand and click to realize you don't need to go into a space with 18 different mini theaters around to see what you want. So they were having a tough time. I only mention that because the theaters that are not just surviving, but will be thriving this time are very much those that are historic theaters like this, that are very much community-based, that are multi-purpose venues, and that are kind of mission-driven in a way. So it's not just a single purpose for just showing films, and that's very much what this theater is and how we will operate it. So we believe, just in terms of promotionally as well, this is, frankly, we're part of the American Historic Theater Association. We're kind of the poster child for that, and that this is the newest, sexiest theater born in these days to open. And it really exemplifies exactly the kind of business model that allows theaters like this to be successful. Including that, and I'm really taking a little bit too far into the back office, and I'll bring it back out in a second. Industry organizations and support groups and other people who are supporting it. From an industry point of view, a thing that's also kind of interesting is the whole model, of course, of a theatrical first run has changed immeasurably, not just over the course of this year, but in the old days, the theatrical windows, meaning how many months, weeks or months a movie played in theaters, and months and months later before it would ever show up on a streaming service or a broadcast has collapsed. And now things are going straight to screen, if you will, as opposed into theaters. That actually, again, in chaos, there's opportunity. That's actually giving us more opportunity. So we will, besides leaning heavily into, as you might suspect, historic in terms of older classic films and things like that, we will have an opportunity, and we'll have new releases as well as all the other things that we're doing. So as challenging as these times are, for us to open, we've taken the last year while everyone else was shut down to actually be hard at work and complete this facility. And now we're in a position, as things are opening up, to take advantage of that with all the different programming opportunities that we have. So here are a few renderings, just to give you a little peek inside. And I'm gonna show you a couple of actual pictures. Very quickly, lower left, you can see kind of the auditorium as it's rendered. The top picture there is kind of the vestibule area as you come in to purchase tickets, and then the bottom right picture there is inside where the lobby area is, with a concession stand, stairs to the balcony there, and doors into the theater from there. Here further inside, these are actual photos, again, to show you the condition of the theater today and where we are. The upper left there, you can kind of see the auditorium view towards the stage as well. The bottom middle is the image from the stage out to the theater and to the balcony as well. And the upper right there, you'll see the balcony, which is somewhat reimagined. We have maintained, you can almost see just a hint of it in the lower left of that picture. There are 3 rows of traditional seats in the balcony. And then we have what I'm calling the skybox, which is this event space platform above that with glass partitions that we will be using for receptions, events, private parties. Also, what you can't quite see in this is we have a small director's box, which is kind of a perch just to the left there as well, which would be for private seating. The other thing that's interesting about this space is it actually connects through the bowels of the building as you come out of the door of our balcony space there, the skybox. There's a door there into a little corridor, and the door directly adjacent to that is of the Old Post Tavern. Those of you who've been upstairs, the banquet room, which is a full bar and a banquet room, connects directly to our balcony space. So that really allows us to have bigger pre and post events, and also access to food, drink, and things like that from Old Post Tavern. So just kind of quickly, and again, I can't quite sure exactly what you're seeing, but this is kind of shoe by the numbers. So we have, the Post Road office, which is, as I mentioned, our stage entrance and VIP green room, as well as administrative offices. The proscenium stage, which you may have noticed in the previous picture, is, it's not even the same. The original theater, which did open as a vaudeville house, had a very small, thin catwalk, if you will, across the front. It was later kind of transformed into a movie house as movies in the 20s started to become much more predominant entertainment form. And what we've done is we've actually taken the stage and we've expanded it greatly. It's actually larger than the Westport Playhouse stage. However, that said, we can't operate in the same way because we don't have the same kind of backstage storage, props, rehearsal spaces, and things like that. But it is big enough that, yes, we'll have a full symphony is able to squeeze on there. New Haven Symphony was down at the theater pacing it off. I'm sure Riverdance will come through. Not exactly a space that the Traveling Lion King will show up, but anything that has small contained sets, and certainly anything that can kind of come in and out of the theater, we absolutely will be able to put on at the theater. The auditorium, as you saw, is a very good size. The main floor is about 350 seats. The balcony, again, those 3 rows, represents about 60 or so seats, plus director's box. The little skybox that we talked about is roughly a 40 by 20 space, again, for events, parties, and private gatherings. We'll also use it as a bit of a meeting space and education space for some of our after-school program. The candy counter, for those of you who are kind of interested, we will have both classic, so those who want those kind of filling, pulling juju fruits, we'll get those, as well as some new age candies and kale chips, popcorn with real butter, and some homemade treats. We'll also have a concession stand, which from event to event will have drinks, wraps, and things like that as well. And the operating hours, which I am going to show you a little snapshot of the schedule because people are very interested in how we're going to utilize the space. Generally during the daytime, and this is very general, where honestly, I can't sell a lot of tickets in the morning or big audiences. The university and some of their programs, we utilize it as a facility. So that's everything from our film program to our performing arts, even to some of the new activity that we're doing on campus with really with new technology like esports and virtual reality and things like that. So they will use the space for the most part during the weekdays. I mentioned kind of starting at 3 o'clock. We will have an after-school program. I'll tell you a little bit more about that when we get in the schedule. Basically, those will be roughly kind of theme days. So, one day will be kind of a theater arts program. So that'll be everything about acting and directing and stagecraft. The next day might be a curriculum event where we would, Fairfield reads, To Kill a Mockingbird. We will show the film. We'll have a study guide. Help you do your homework. We will do other kinds of things. One day may just be a kid's day, so it's cartoons and superhero movies, and then we have our STEM program, which is all that science and technology, which again is the esports and some of the other stuff. And we also will be doing, by virtue, not only the fact that Sacred Heart has also recently acquired kind of lease control of the Discovery Museum, we will have a Science Saturday, which will be a program of science-related programs, not just particular technology science, but also earth sciences and environmental. I actually had the director of the Beardsley Zoo come in, who stood on the stage and looked up and said, "Oh, good, the hawk could fly around in the building." And I said, "That's just the kind of thinking, that I like, because everyone's considering how they can utilize the space." And then in the evening hours, and as you see also for the weekend, those will generally be largely public events that will be open for basic activity, from events to films and everything else. And to give you a very quick snapshot, again, here's the calendar. This is aspirational, of course. We're not opening immediately with all this, but we are going to get there. You don't have to read the small print, but the color key here, you can see the blue boxes there are kind of what I had mentioned about the Sacred Heart use of the facility. The little green shaded boxes, you can see that kind of run, and honestly, I'm not sure how much business we're going to do on Monday exactly, because that's traditionally a dark day for theaters, although I suspect it will not be dark for us. But those green boxes really represent the after school program and that Science Saturday that I was just discussing. And the gold boxes, which you can see, which occupy most of the evening hours and also in the weekends there, are for the public events. Those events, if you did squint, you could see, run everything from regular movie events to, we will have a cabaret night, which will be live music, comedy, dance, and performance. We'll have very much some themed evenings and screening opportunities, everything from Oscar-winning films and big screen classics, blockbusters that you haven't seen on the big screen ever. In many cases, certainly, a lot of folks haven't seen any movies on a big screen that were made, further than 10 years ago. So that's going to really introduce a whole new generation, I hope, as well as help remind some of us older generation of what it was like to go in and see a film the way it was meant to be seen, not just God forbid, on your computer or your home screen, but actually out in a darkened theater as we go. And just to give you, again, a little sense of where we're headed, because this is always a general question. So what do you mean? What's going to happen here? This is where we are. We're coming into March. Again, and I will show you a little bit in terms of what we're doing virtually. But we're, come hell or high water, we are opening the doors. Originally, we will have some smaller, perhaps private or RSVP, or certainly in terms of capacity issues, some socially distant events going on. We are already starting to schedule events for February. My big dream, as you'll see, as it's starting to come, is that we are going to have kind of a soft opening over the spring weekend, which is hard to believe. It's just like a month away. And let's hope it's true, even though I see it's actually snowing outside right now. That spring weekend, which is March 19th, will be our kind of official public opening, even though we will have some preview events before that. But that's going to include everything from FTNA Showcase, which are films that and programs that are kind of derived and generated by the film school. In fact, coming up in March, very early in March, is a virtual event. We're doing a cinema master class on Alfred Hitchcock because it's Alfred Hitchcock Day. We also happen to have in our faculty a great expert on Hitchcock who's written a couple of films, who's going to do a little bit of an introduction, talk a bit about, in some ways, with the life and career this Master of Suspense, and then we'll show a film there. And that's really, and I kind of bore you with that because one of the things that I'm really striving for, and this gets to the next little bullet point, I also run the Richfield Independent Film Festival for the last few years. And we are a little bit of a plug and play, but we are bringing and lighting up a new Fairfield Film Festival that will have a home base at the theater as well. I raised that point because one of the things that I found in running the film festival, and particularly with this kind of venue, with this kind of mission, in terms of us curating content for the community, is that it's not just about putting up an old movie on the screen. Again, everybody has access to just about everything, at their fingertips. It's really about creating a screening event, about bringing some added value to not just hopefully our great interest in gathering safely together as a community and not just sitting at home in the dark by ourselves doing this, but I think adding more value to the presentation itself. So, virtually every event that we try to do will have a component which is that basically says, you can't get this sitting at home. And that will be everything from real guest speakers, celebrities, the kind of insight and context you can get during a conversation about a film, both its subject and its production values and stars, but also, you'll have a glass of wine. It'll be a little party. We'll do some things that are really stunted to have it be a real event as you come to the theater. So there won't be any time you just show up and you see something and you go home and there was nothing else to talk about. You will always have something to talk about from events at the theater. So everything from the Hitchcock to film festival screenings and the festival itself. The film festival will have monthly screening events, and then the annual festival, which will probably run 4 or 5 days, with home base in the theater, will probably be in the fall in October. In March, however, we also have one of our first events is the Greater Connecticut Children's Youth Orchestra will have their concerto competition finals coming up in March. That'll be streamed as well. We're still, because it's early enough, that won't be an open public event. It'll just be students and their families, but that will be streamed broadly for public viewing. We also are doing some things, and I might have mentioned this a little bit to Margaret early on. Broadway is shut down. Broadway is going to be shut down, it seems like, at least until fall at this point. So we've actually been reaching out to many Broadway producers and to performers about coming up to SHU and doing something there. And again, we're not bringing the full Broadway show, but one of our first SHU off-Broadway programs will include real Broadway stars. So we have coming up in the series for March and in April, a young lady who was the Wicked Witch in Wicked. And in April, we will have the actor who portrays George Washington as well in Hamilton. So these are real stars with real performances. They'll come. It'll be a bit of a mashup. Again, it won't be so much a performance. It'll be a bit of a mashup of, say, those of you can recall, Inside the Actors Studio, or more contemporary Between Two Ferns. So it'll be a little bit of a sit down for some intimate conversation. Then they'll get up, they'll do a little song and dance, a couple of things for us. We'll show some clips from some of their other works as well. And we'll have a chance for the audience to actually interact and question and answer with some genuine stars. Also, just as we're kind of running down a little bit, give you some highlights here, some other real curriculum events, including a program. March is Women's History Month, so we'll be doing a female poet laureates presentation. We have a screening that we partner with the Fairfield Library, which is on ecology. And then my real hope is that we'll actually be open and welcome. And I know, you may all not be flocking to this, but, the next big film coming out in March is Godzilla versus King Kong. So I have high hopes that we may be able to get that. And I'm sure we will kind of, as best we can, pack the theater with that. And then we're kind of off and running. Presumably the governor has stated, and we'll find out if it holds, that that COVID capacity, the restrictions will go from the 25% for performing arts venues as it is today to 50% mid-March. And then hopefully we'll just kind of keep going as we all learn how to navigate this and we become all a little bit safer, a little bit more healthy, that this will continue to grow and we'll have a chance to have more and more people in as we go. April will be launching, among other things, our Century of Cinema programming, which is basically exactly that. We'll be showing some of the greatest films from the last 100 years that have played at the theater. So it's a kind of a chance. And in fact, I haven't quite figured this out, but the last film to be shown at the theater is still up in the projection booth on the platter. I'm kind of planning that may be one of the first films that we show as we open back up publicly in a kind of, picking up where we left off or as we were saying moment. And then we also, because the Oscars have moved back into April, we generally will lean into Oscars. We'll be showing as many of the Oscar nominated films in the weeks leading up to the Oscars. And then my hope, depending on where we are, health-wise, is that we'll have a little Oscar screening party in the theater as well. And then kind of just wrapping out what this next quarter looks like. For those of you kind of cinema geeks in some ways or sci-fi geeks, May the 4th is really a kind of a Star Wars holiday. So, I'm planning to do a May the 4th Be With You marathon. I know it's crazy. 24 hours of Star Wars films, which basically is all of the 9 films in the whole saga that's laid out. It's a crazy idea, but actually it's a really fun idea. As a kid, I used to go to a lot of movie marathons, and again, in terms of gathering some attention, some interest, I think that's going to take off. We also will probably, as hopefully, we're freer and kids are kind of running around more, we will do a kids film festival, a little 1 or 2 day thing. We also, which I actually didn't have on here, we're going to start outdoor screenings at the History Center in May on a weekly basis. It'll be every Wednesday over the summer. We'll have outdoor screenings. And then last you see there, we've got a Memorial Day Marathon, which includes a couple of very special guests and some events there for that Memorial Day weekend. So how can you help? Here's where the photo on the right there that you see is actually something that we unearthed doing some research at the History Center. I tracked down, I know who all 3 of these guys are. I've tracked down 2 of them. These are ushers from the 90s outside the theater. My hope is to have them all come back and kind of recreate this iconic photo for me outside the theater. But that's a really fun project, and I'll show you at the end of this, of course, our social media and Facebook. This one photo, which I put out early on our Facebook page, was please help me find who these kids are at the time, because I really want to know the story behind this. It created thousands, and I kid you not, thousands of leads. People kind of contacting, saying, "Oh, I know who that is, and he's out in Arizona now." And so it got a lot of buzz. And that actually kind of comes back to the legacy of this theater, is that it's not just a number, 100 years. It's generations of people have grown up in this community coming to this theater, working at this theater, walking by this theater. This has really been a part of the town landscape for this past century. And I think that kind of connection and enthusiasm is really going to, bodes well for us. It's one of the few, just a minor side. This is one of the few projects I've ever been involved in where quite literally everybody wants to be a success. Everyone is really not just emotionally interested in it. The business community wants and needs to be a success as well. The university, of course, as a major foothold in terms of its outreach, its community outreach, and I'm so blessed to have this as an opportunity in some ways because of all the great support there is for the theater and what we're trying to do. And that gets us back to you and this august group and interest of what you can do to help, from the smallest things to the bigger things. Obviously after this, I'm sure you're going to run out and tell all your friends and family what an amazing, wonderful presentation this was. And how much more interested you are in the theater now that you've learned so much more about it. So please just spread the word. Certainly follow and like us on Facebook and share some of our posts, some of our events on social media or in old-fashioned ways, like, call somebody up on the phone or talk to them. Please, and I'll give you all the website information, things like, please visit our website, our Facebook page, and our virtual theater. Which does again have many, many films to stream, films you can't see anyplace else, does highlight all of our live streaming events that we're putting on now. And we'll give you more information, which gets to the next bullet point: sign up for, for community theater updates, discounts, and memberships, which are coming online very shortly. Deeper than that, which is, listen, if we're happy to have you. If you want to become a volunteer, a host, a sponsor of theater events, that would be fantastic. There's a lot of good ways to utilize this venue to not just get involved for the theater, but also to be able to bring your interests, your organizations, which gets us to the next bullet point about, there are opportunities deeper into underwrite and education, like the free after school program, performance or cinema program, which I will show you just, well, as you saw from the calendar, which are very kind of broad. And then if you or someone you know is involved in an actual community organization or a company that might be interested in kind of partnering with us, or sponsoring, or advertising, or underwriting things, or renting and utilizing the theater for your fundraising or outreach, we're happy to talk about that. And the last point, of course, which is, if all else fails, just show up. Come to the theater, enjoy a good show. As we all are, be thankful, hopefully, that we can get out of the house again, that we can enjoy really what are the benefits of this great community, and the fact that we've got a really great, vibrant, new place to go. And with that, I'm going to show you a very, very quick trailer for the theater, and I'll give you the email, and I'm happy to have some.
I want to give the audience a song that they can perform. So what can they do? Imagine thousands of people doing this in unison.
Where do you want to go first?
Huh? Well, what's the lyric? I'm cruel.
And thank you so very much for your kind time and interest. These are our main social media. And Sean, I don't know if they're actually going to pop up, but if it did, I don't know if you're still seeing it. This is our virtual theater page, which has some of our events. And then, as you'll see from the other things, some of the streaming content and movies that we have up right now. So thank you. And Margaret, happy to take any questions, comments, or otherwise.
Well, thank you so much, Bill. I'm sure I speak with everyone, and I say the best part of all of this is just being able to look forward, and the worst part is we got to wait. We'd like to do this right today and run out, but that's wonderful. We knew it was going to be great, but we had no idea of all the range of things you're offering, so that's wonderful. Let's see, our first emails, I'll just summarize, because really they're not questions, they're just some comments, just people so glad this is happening. Can't wait for you to open, looking forward to events, etc. So I think all of that just expands on our general comment about it being such a great event. A few other questions here. People asked, you said about volunteering, for instance. Is that something people would wait and do, or will there be information on your website? How would people go about doing that? I'm assuming it's a little premature right now, but.
Well, yeah, yes and no. It's not too premature to start to show your interest or to contact me directly or through our kind of chat or Facebook page, which is fine. And all that information, I'll be happy to give you my personal email, so you can do that as well, or you can contact us through the theater page. So we're basically, I mean, we are going to, it scares me a little bit. I mean, we'll be opening the doors in a couple of weeks to some private preview events, to some testing and things like that. And that will also include bringing some people in first who are comfortable. And, as we get a little, more open in society to considering how they can help. So I'm happy to take names and numbers right now. And then we'll suss out, the opportunities as we go. But that'll be everything from, ushers and concession to, again, host of events, as we go forward. So please don't stand on ceremony. Just let me know that you have some interest, and we'd be happy to find a way to get you involved with the theater.
Great. So I'll send out some of that contact information to our membership so they have it. And, I'm sure we'll be getting many people from Wise Women who want to be involved. We have a technical question, and it includes jargon I am not familiar with. I'm hoping you are. Someone's asking if you have a fly gallery in the new theater.
A fly gallery?
Yeah, I don't know what that is.
Well, I'm not sure I know what that means either, but I mean, if it's terms of presentation, and maybe they'll give you another little ping here to get specific. To
expand on that, okay.
But if it's, about technology, again, it's hard. It's very broad, all digital. The scaffolding and the screen and the stage were all very flexible. And this isn't what the question's about, but I will tell you a little other side. We are wiring the theater completely for recording events and for streaming in and out of the building. So we will have probably, I think at last count, probably 7 fixed cameras in the theater, as well as other video positions. So as events happen, we will record those. And particularly now, of course, because so many of the things that we'll be doing in the theater, we will also be streaming as we go. So that part of it will be, will be completely up to standards there. And then what we're doing in the front office, there will be kind of reception space and gallery and a little display opportunities. We're actually looking at. I kind of skimmed over this. The few historic artifacts remain. We maintained, lovingly restored the original proscenium, which is part of the stage. We have kind of the original sign, the community building sign that was over the vestibule that will be displayed. And the film I mentioned that's on the platter up in the projection booth, we're going to mount that on the wall in the office as kind of a historic artifact of where we had left off.
Okay, we have a few questions, logistical questions about things like parking, handicapped accessibility, issues like that. We know people complained about the previous theater as not being terribly friendly to anyone who was in a wheelchair or on a cane or something. Could you describe that to us, please?
Sure, absolutely. In terms of access, yeah, the original theater, being 100 years old, wasn't very forward thinking in some of that. I am. The place is completely not just ADA compliant. We've kind of gone above and beyond. We have actually in the seating itself, it's not just a number of wheelchair positions in the back of the theater. We've created a mid-auditorium bridge, which cuts across the auditorium in the middle. So there will be premium seating locations for wheelchairs in the theater as well. We have a new elevator that's accessed through our front office that goes up to the second level. So you can go to the event space as well. And again, the stage entrance access through our front office is, again, all wheelchair compliant, so that allows access to the stage as well. As for parking, always issue I choke on a little bit because I shrug and I say in a smug way, what did they do the last 100 years? No, we did not build a new parking deck or have underground parking. However, as you saw from the schedule, most of the afternoon events, honestly, I'm hoping there'll be more buses. And you might have seen Wednesday, I'm going to do like a regular Wednesday classic matinee. So, hopefully for other folks who are dropped off or trams from retirement homes and things like that, that'll be a little easier. It's downtown Fairfield. It's a challenge. We do have access to the parking deck across the street. And of course, behind us at Metro North Station, particularly for evening events, our regular evening events aren't going to start until 6 o'clock anyway. So we're hoping that, that will alleviate some of the pressure for people being able to park and come as well. And for other special events, I'm not dismissive of the issue. We'll have valet parking. So, there's, especially if we're going to do a big event or things, I'm not going to expect people to, to really work hard to get there. So we will help you park your car as well.
Okay, we have a few questions related to local businesses. I mean, you mentioned certainly, and we saw some support by the First Select Woman and the other government groups, but are businesses, in particular restaurants, maybe looking to partner with you, maybe timing their meals in conjunction with the timing of theater events, or somehow encouraging people to patronize the local businesses as well?
No, absolutely. And you may have seen, although it's small print, on the scheduled calendar, there were a number of logos at the bottom of that calendar, which represent a number of our programming partners from around town who are going to be certainly supporting programs and helping to drive some patrons. What wasn't on there was our business relationships and what we're trying to develop. Clearly, as I mentioned, I think we are kind of an anchor. We're joining the arts community in downtown. We absolutely, by the fact that I mentioned we're flanked and surrounded by restaurants and bars and other establishments that are really quite complimentary. We will have programs with them. I haven't quite figured out yet because I haven't quite settled it, but I've been working with Beverly at the Chamber and Mark, of course, in town to help have this, because this really, I hope, adds a reason to come to downtown Fairfield as well. So we will have packages like dinner and a movie packages or show or date night things. Sunday I'll probably do a brunch matinee or musical performance as well. They'll give people a chance to have, and of course we'll kind of coordinate and time it as much as possible, as we go. And as I mentioned, in terms of the event space, while not full table service throughout the theater, we will have food and drink available in the theater as well, both from a catered perspective, and then, maybe those of you who've been, say, to the Bijou, know that they have deals with local restaurants who actually, they utilize their menu, and the restaurants will bring the food to the theater as well. So we're going to do everything we can, given that we're not going to have our own kitchen. I mean, we'll have our own concession stand, we'll do some of our own things, but we're absolutely looking to include and encourage, business partnerships with local businesses as well.
Okay, I have a clarification about the fly gallery question.
Okay.
It's used to fly scenery up and out of the.
Oh, well, that's why I don't know anything about it. Now, the truth is, it's kind of, I mean, we will have, as best we can, some drapes and backdrops and things like that. We unfortunately don't have the real space other than some traveling shows. So we will not be outfitted for, bringing Peter Pan in or flying different kinds of, set elements around, or dropping people in and out of the stage. So no, we're not quite at that level in terms of stage performance.
Okay, well, we're running out of time, so I'll just ask one more question, and that has to do with the Sacred Heart Masters in Film and Television program, which, at least formerly, I don't know now, was located in Stamford and would use the Avon Theater for some of their programs. Are they moving some of that up to Fairfield, or still staying in Stamford?
No, they have moved. They're not in Stamford at all.
Okay, they're not there at all. Okay.
No, not at all. They moved, more than a year or so ago, I think, in terms of how they shut that down. It's one of the things, because I am in an FTMA program. So no, it resides. It actually, this came about when Sacred Heart took over. Those of you in town know this, took over the old GE headquarters.
Right.
So that is now our West Campus. So our FTMA film program, we have on our campus, our main campus, is our Martiri Marketing Communications building there. FTMA, the master's program, moved into our West Campus, the old GE building. So that's where that home is for that program, along with really pretty impressive. They have a sound stage, they have studios, they have editing rooms. They just put in color correction if somebody's out there actually thinking about the program. So it's really very much full service. And the theater will be the home base for what we do in terms of public outreach for that program as well. And very few schools have their own downtown movie theaters.
Yes, I'm sure.
In some ways, in programs. So
well, we're very happy we have it here locally for everyone to take advantage of it. So thank you so much again. We could go on for a long time, I know, but we have gone, and we're just going to have to find out more by actually coming to the theater.
There you are.
And getting involved as volunteers in various other ways. And so we all look forward to that.
Thank you so much. And please feel free, again, to forward any questions, comments, or interests to me. I'm happy to talk to any wise woman.
Okay. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.